Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you are still on the POLITY reaching live from our Abuja studios, and I am Messi Babajide. And our part of the issues we'll be talking about today on the POLITY is the fact that Nigerian Association of University Lecturers have come out to say there are issues bothering with Nigerian universities, speaking about bad infrastructures and all other things that we cannot talk about. As of yesterday, the chapter of ASU has come out to say they have issues with lecturers resigning. Of course, we cannot talk about Nigeria without talking about the educational part. All of this and more is what we'll be talking about today on the POLITY. And of course, I have two guests with me. I have Christopher Sunday to my right, and I have Ejiro Unuata. Forgive my pronunciation. Good afternoon. It's good to have you, gentlemen, on the program.
Good to see you.
Okay, all right. I usually say I like to ask my guests, how are you? How is Nigeria treating you? So who is going to go first?
Well, let him go first.
Okay.
Why should I go first? Yeah, well, this is Nigeria. This is where we are.
Okay.
And that it is only when you have an alternative,
okay,
that you start considering whether you should move or not.
Okay.
But for now, be it emotionally, sentimentally, morally, whatever way you can think of it, where we are right now, we must stick to what God has given to us. In bad and in good times, we must identify with our country, Nigeria. But we are not going to keep our mouth mute when things are going wrong. If there is a problem, like I've always told people around me, in a family business, diplomacy is a disease. So when you see a thing and you cannot call it by its name, that is one of my policies. I call things by its name. If this is white, I call it white. Even though you are 100 and you have a counter opinion, I will express my opinion. So long as I know that it's not going to what I'm saying is the truth. Okay. So Nigeria is Nigeria. We are in a difficult moment. There was a time we enjoyed whatever it was or whatever it is God has given to us. Now that we are having a difficult times, let us sit back together and fix it.
Okay, all right. Over to you.
Well, Mercy, we're facing it, and we thank God that we are alive, and we know that we have the spirit to still keep striving for a better Nigeria. Okay,
right. I like that the fact that you kept it short. Now let's quickly talk about these Nigerian issues. Ejiro Unuata is a lecturer in one of the Nigerian universities, correct? Polytechnics, I beg your pardon. All right. Now, speaking about the issues of Nigerian universities and polytechnics, let's just talk about the educational sector to start with. Do you think the student loan is even one step forward in the Nigerian educational system? Let's not even start bordering on the fact that we don't have good infrastructures. Our lecturers are being underpaid, and most of them are resigning. The ones that are even working, you could see where, I was once a student, or let's say I'm still a student too, we are all learners, but then you see the fact that lecturers are actually, most of these things, they affect them psychologically, and then at the end of the day, what are they impacting in most of the students from all levels? I'd like to get your take on that.
Well, let me start from the student loan you talked about. You see, if you noticed, immediately the student loan was announced, the prices of school tuition fees skyrocketed. What does that tell you? It tells you that probably some of these persons are thinking ahead that, okay, since our students are going to access loan, so it's high time we increase the tuition fee. But you see, there's an angle to it that is not really adding up, because when you do that, you discover that a lot of persons who could not access the loan will probably drop out of school. In the next 1-2 years now, that will happen. You see it happen. A lot of persons will drop out of school because some schools, they've increased their tuition fee to like 200%, 100%. And these persons, in fact, we will have the school fees as low as maybe 29,000, 30. Some persons are finding it difficult to even pay. And now you are increasing it. You see, when you have so many persons dropping out of the system, what does that tell you? That's another security challenge in the future. So I think the federal government should really look into this, because even the student loan is not easy to access. There are so many bottlenecks to it that probably if you continue that way, some persons cannot even access that loan because of the bottleneck. So I think they should sit down and really remodify this system on how people can really access this loan, because it's not easy. All right. So I think we should really look into towards that direction in order to avert what will happen in the future.
Okay, that's that for student loan. Now let's move to the lecturer aspect. And of course, you would agree with me that before you can impart knowledge. Okay, all right. Okay, yeah, you can say something.
Yeah, you see, I read somewhere this morning. I never even knew we were going to touch this aspect. Okay. But again, if my source is correct, they said the money marked for the student loan is 5 billion naira. 5 billion.
That's correct.
If that is correct. And then somebody also juxtaposed it with the money marked for the renovation of the house of the speaker, of the chief of staff to the president. 10 billion naira. Are we ready in this country? Are we ready? Femi Bedeviling has been in the House of Representatives for like 3 terms. Now he won the 4th one, and then God elevated him to become chief of staff. If that story is true, why would the chief of staff to the president be given 10 billion to renovate his house?
Well, he has come out to refute that and said he stays in his own personal residence in Abuja. We don't know how true that is, but of course that is what he has said about.
Okay, if he is staying in his personal house as it is, it means they are renovating the official house. So logically, the story is true. Why is he in his personal house?
Well,
was the president not staying in Lagos house in Asokoro before he recently moved to the presidency after renovation? Do you want to know how much was used for that renovation? So you are giving 5 billion naira to students to share. Again, is our institution working? What is the reason why the student loan? Look, let us tell ourselves the truth. The first thing the president, the first thing he signed, the first whatever he signed into law when he immediately assumed office was the student loan. I think that was done to calm down the nerves of people, especially the youth. Now, again, the reason I want to know why the student loan, was it for them to use it to pay school fees or tuition, as the case may be, or was it used for it to be used to alleviate the poverty they are suffering in school? Now the federal government in their wisdom has given students an opportunity to access loan, that the school authorities have skyrocketed the prices of their tuition. Who is fooling who? And then you then begin to ask, for goodness sake, those in government, are they there to serve us, or they are there to just make their money and go? Because I don't see any synergy between what the leaders are doing and what we are expecting. We expected a lot from past government and present government, but we are still where we are. It's like we are just moving around the cycle. Nothing is happening. Nobody is taking responsibility for this country to move ahead.
Well, my friend, you see, the truth is we are where we are because we accepted to be that way. The leaders we get are once followers, and they've learned from what they've seen. All right, and we are comfortable with it, because you see what's happening in the National Assembly, the cars being given out, all this money. You see, they tell us to tighten our belts while they're losing theirs.
If you mention of the cars, let me even tell you, if you study what is happening in the National Assembly, what they use to buy those cars is a minute of what is moving out of them. But let us not go far so that we don't take time from our topic.
Okay, all right. See, we've spoken about the student loan. Now let's talk about the state of Nigerian universities' infrastructure. I mean, if we are building leaders of tomorrow, do you actually think, given these infrastructures are up to par, and then what should the federal government be actually focusing on loans? Yeah, loans would fix a lot. I mean, there are students that are actually in dire need of this money. But then, like you said, now that they've increased tuition fees, some by 200%, some by 100%, some as far as 300%, and that's a lot. Do you actually think all of this together, I'd like you to just take it in one breath?
Well, Mercy, in 2009, one of the agreements signed between ASU and the federal government is that funding for revitalization of public universities. And the federal government is supposed to inject 1.3 trillion into the system, you know, to be given to these universities, paid in 6 tranches.
Okay.
But that didn't happen. You see, some of our universities are in a very deplorable condition that you begin to wonder, how can people really learn from this particular environment? You know, in a class of maybe, let's say, you have like almost 500 persons attending one small classroom. You see people hanging on the windows, doors and all that. How do you even expect these persons to really acquire education conveniently? That's why you see Nigerians, when they go abroad, they do better. But when they are here, so much challenges, struggle and all that. So these are all the problems. And part of one of the key demand has to equally make them was, okay, federal government, you have to visit a university every 5 to 6 years, so that you can really feel what these people are feeling.
Even 5 to 6 years is too much margin, because I mean, if you are actually a government for the people, of the people, and by the people, of the people, I think that you should actually put all of this into your schedule. It shouldn't be a 4 or 5 years thing.
Besides, this government is even saying that they are going to take 40% of internally generated revenue from universities. Now the universities are complaining that you want to even collect the little one they save to do 1 or 2 things within the system. I mean, it doesn't...
See my brother, it is a case of institutional decay. Look at it from the federal government, even go back to the universities. By the mercy of God, I went to the Federal Polytechnic Ida, I went to Imo State University, I went to Clarisha Institute of Philosophy, I did my master's in Kogi State University. I can tell you that what we required for us to be good, for us to be better in this country, is just to strengthen our institution. Let me give you an example. Missionary school where I attended, the Clarisha Institute of Philosophy, is being managed until today. In fact, they have even changed it to the Clarisha Nigerian University. You understand? It's one of the Nigerian universities now, no longer purely under the church's government. You understand? Now you could see when you get there, you will see how things are being done by Nigerians. The VC is a Nigerian. Everybody is Nigerians. But why are things working out well there? Because an institution is strong. Because some persons are there to take responsibility, or responsibilities as the case may be. Now, those who went, if you school in Federal Polytechnic, that those days when FPI was hot, in fact, any day we have lectures on mathematics, if you come 5 minutes late, you won't get any place to sit in a place we call Convocation Square. As it's a, let me say, mini stadium where you can play all this basketball and all that. But you need to see, even with that, with the what's it called?
The capacity.
With the capacity, thank you. With the capacity of the arena, some students who come late will still be standing. Now that is a kind of combination of about 3 to 4 classes. I mean, departments in one place on a Monday. So now, does it mean that there is no fund to build more structures? Again, there is something that universities are doing that the federal government has to also pay attention. How many students are the university supposed to admit in a year?
Thank you very much. I was even coming to that. Yes.
How many? Because if the university say each department should admit 20 students per term or per semester, and then you see a rector or a VC or whoever employing double of that, but again, will you blame that rector or VC? No. Is the money that is meant for the university or the polytechnic coming from the appropriate quota? No. Now, but again, we have to go back. That's why I say it is a pure case of institutional decay. What has been now, they said that they want to be removing 40% of their internally generated revenue. What have they been doing with it? What have they been doing with it? Okay, let me give an example. Well, which of the universities now will I use? Okay, let me use the same Federal Polytechnic Ida, since it's a federal institution. There are so many things: bread company, pure water. there is many things you can think of. You understand? Now, over the years, they have been making money. Let them show us one thing they have done with that money, what that they have generated internally. Now, if you go to Abuja University here, you will also understand that there are so many internally generated revenue from that same institution. Sure. What have they been doing with it?
Well, some of them
go to Federal Polytechnic, Nasarawa. The same thing. They have farmland. They are farming.
No, they will tell you they use some of this money
to do what? To do what?
Okay.
You see, accountability is the word here.
Okay.
Because it seems like nobody is really checkmating what this.
My brother, what do you do with your freedom? If you are a rector, if you are, see, let me tell you, to be responsible, to be responsible is not easy. If you are alone as a grown-up person, we are all grown up now. We are not with our parents.
Okay.
We are not with our parents. What you do with that grace God has given to you as a responsible man, as a responsible woman, is another grace on its own. For you to sit to decipher, what should I do at this point in time? Because you are free, you think, okay, nobody can talk to you, and then each time you stand up, you feel you can do anything and nobody questions you. Well, that is why I said the institution must be made to be strong.
Yes.
If the institution is strong, see, let me tell you, I gave an example yesterday. I said in America, for instance, if anything, if you are given a responsibility and you fail in that responsibility, you don't need the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria or the US president to sack you. It is for you to honorably resign because you failed in the duties that have been given to you.
Well, but unfortunately, in our country, people don't resign; they get pushed out.
All right, now let's quickly move to the next story, which is, of course, hot cake on the polity right now, and that's the issue of Kaduna bombing. About a few days back, a particular local government in Kaduna was bombed, and we pray that the soul of the reposed rest in perfect peace. As of yesterday, we heard that it was 120 persons that have died. Today, it is 127. But then the military has come out to own up to this issue to say they were responsible for this said bombing. But the question is, I mean, one would actually ask, what was happening? What happened? What is going on actually? But then we cannot talk about that without talking about, we have, as of today, we had protesters that went to National Assembly to request for the resignation of the Minister of Defense. Which begs the question, what job is they doing? Do you actually think it's doing a fair job? And then, before we came on air, we're talking about ethics in each profession. And of course, we got to the military ethics. I'd like to get your own overview on all of this in one breath.
You see, I was on a program yesterday, LN24. It's a news station. And I told the anchor, I said, Simono, let me tell you something. I used a movie I watched years back, 24, by Jack Bauer. And I said in the season 2, one of the director of FBI failed to do what he ought to do. And the following morning, he came to the office and tendered his resignation. But let me tell you, in this country, for whatever reason why the chief of defense staff was nominated or appointed by the administration, be it past and present, at times, even though you want to resign, the power that be can also force you to remain. That is where we are. There was a time the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, is the ex-president, said he was tired. I could imagine that time he wants to just resign and go back to Daura, but he dare not. You know why? The power that be will not allow him because of their own interest. Let us go back to ethics of law or of war. Let me be fair to the military. See, I have this notion from my own little understanding and little study of ethics in military, that it is not everything that happens there that will come and tell you. You don't expect them. There is more to this whole thing that they will never say. Not because they want to hurt anybody in that village.
Okay.
That is because, see, there are some situations, take it or leave it, it is a war between we and terrorists and Boko Haram. Okay. So we can term it, we can say discuss this still in the confines of war.
The war, yeah.
So in war, there are some things that when you do, nobody will question you, or even though the question is for you to explain why you did so. A commander can they may be killing your army, but you as a commander, you will be giving an order not to allow the army to retaliate. You know why? At times they may want to capture those ones alive. For what? Source of information. Why do you think prisons have been broken? That is because some people with strong military, information that the military can use to move ahead with their research, to move ahead with their war, is in the hands of some persons. Why do you think some persons in some of those movies we watch, it's a reality that they are playing out, that they give them some persons are killed in the prison? That is because there are some information those people are harboring. Again, why do you think some persons are in the prison and they are taking good care of them, in fact moving them from one prison to another? That is because they don't want them to be harmed, because they are going to release some information.
Well, it looks like Christopher is going to take us back to so many things. And
you understand?
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say here is this. It is possible that the military had already given information or warned the villagers that you people are harboring these people. Please, it's either you tell us who they are, or we'll strike.
But that's an assumption.
Yeah, I say it's possible.
Yeah,
I'm not
an
asserting it.
Okay.
That's why I say it is not everything. Again, but if the military, like the
okay, now let's take for instance, none of this is happening, but the military actually attacked a village. Do you think? I wonder. Some persons have actually said, "Oh, one step forward." They actually came out to acknowledge it. That's not something you see every day in Nigeria, to say, "Oh, we were in the wrong. We did it." But then, would we commend the Nigerian military for killing 127 persons and counting?
I also said on that same program yesterday, I said, for the military to have waited for almost 24 hours or more than 24 hours before the defense headquarters could come out to say it was a mistake, something that is not intentional, something that was done out of human frailty, mistake, you should immediately admit it and write a press release or press statement. Why take you like 72 hours before you could do that?
Okay, I like that. So all that thought, what do you have to say about
I think there's more to it.
Okay.
But you see, in the public space, is not everything they'll put out there due to security reasons.
Okay.
But looking at it the way it is, I would like to stand on the part of the military, since they say it's a mistake.
It's a mistake.
Because we know in war situation, there's what they call collateral damage.
Okay.
Okay, so this is beyond collateral damage. Yes, it's a mistake. So it means at one point, there was an intel that didn't quite go down well.
Okay.
But it's one mistake too many, because we've had this situation before in the past. So I think at this point, a lot of persons are calling for investigation, so it should be investigated. Let's find out what really went wrong.
It's not just even about the investigation. Sorry to butt in. In one of the papers this morning, not even one, about plenty papers, but then they've coined it in different ways. But I'm going to read it from what the Nation said. Well, it said, remain strong in terrorism battle. Minister urges the military. That's coming from Matawali. Speaking about emotional intelligence, is this something that should be coming out from the Minister of State for Defense in the face of people losing 127? I'm talking about people's brothers, sisters, mothers, and fathers that have died. And he said the accidental bombing should not demoralize the Nigerian military.
Well, he doesn't want to look weak. A lot of persons are calling for his
resignation already,
and so he's trying to really boost the morale
put
of the military,
out
because a lot of persons are saying, a lot of shades have been thrown to the military at this point, because we've seen what happened. I mean, it's quite sad losing this amount of Nigerians. These are Nigerians, people who probably don't have any business with committing crime or thereabouts. So we don't really know what exactly happened. Investigation will unravel so much for Nigerians to really know. Probably at the end of the investigation, they won't put it out there. But at least there will be justification for what happened. People will get to understand, is it an intelligence failure? Okay. What really happened? I think we deserve to know, because these are lives of great Nigerians we just lost.
Okay,
just like that.
You have an opinion?
Where we are right now, it has gone beyond the Nigeria. It has gone beyond the Nigerian military. Remember, before one of the war aircraft was sold to Nigeria, there were conditions.
The Tucano jet.
The Tucano jet. There were conditions given to Nigerians before they released those jets to us. Now, the question I want to ask, was it that same jet that was used for this bombing? It's a rhetorical question. Let us keep it aside. But yes, if it is the what's it called it now? Tucano jet that was used, it has now gone beyond Nigeria. Now it means Nigeria has to explain to the international community, to the people that sold those hardware to Nigeria. That is one. Now, the Nigerian government and the Nigerian military at this time must be careful, or ought to be careful on how they handle this case. If not, it will affect the nation in years to come. But again, you spoke about investigation. Who will investigate the military?
No, there should be.
It's the same military. No matter the level
I listened to a professor.
Yes.
He made some recommendations.
Is it within the what's it called? The mode of operation of the military? See,
there must be an independent body.
No matter how independent you want it to be, there must be a military general, be it Sabin or
ex-military general.
Why do you think we have military courts? It is still within the military. Military is like a state within a state. They have everything you can think of to operate. The courts, the independent, whatever, they will have it. But at the end of it all, what we are looking for is, if it was a mistake, it shouldn't happen again. But this has happened like twice or three times now, yes. And nobody has taken responsibility. And that is where I am a bit angry with the government. For goodness sake, if somebody, see, the number one responsibility of a government is to save life and properties. The same government, through the military, has gone to kill over 100 Nigerians. So why shouldn't somebody resign for such mistakes? That is all I have to say for now.
Okay, all right. Thank you for doing perfect justice to that as we head to the next topic. But then it's still analyzing difficulties facing Nigerian universities. You called attention to something about let's say the infrastructures, basically, where you have more students than the building facilities. That's one. Then two, speaking about this, would agree with me that even the number of students that actually want entry to universities in a year, there are a lot. So now in curbing, say, oh, you want 5,000 students to enter into school, what happens to the rest?
Thank you, Mercy. You see, about 2 weeks ago, private university and polytechnic owners had a meeting with the Minister of Education.
Okay.
And some of the issues there was, you see, there's so much concentration on universities. And JAM is to be blamed for this. Okay. Because JAM seems to, let's assume in a year, we have like maybe 2 million students sit for JAM or who are supposed to gain admission. But you see, JAM sell form of maybe for 5 million persons. All right, just trying to generate money for the system. But you see, you're not doing any good, because by the time they exhaust the number of persons that to go for these universities, what are you supposed to do? Send the rest to polytechnics. We have polytechnics, we have monotechnics, and the rest. But they don't do that. You see, so these private polytechnics owners are now coming up with the fact that they are starved of students. They don't have enough students in their institutions. So the system is, yes, you call them private, but let me tell you something. It's not all private polytechnic that you see that have money to even run the system. All right? Because if they don't have students, how would they be able to run the system? So that is one part of the problem. Then another part of the problem is university, there's an embargo on recruitment of staff. Okay. Yes, until government take off that embargo, because there's so much bottleneck, so much bureaucracy around how you recruit staff. You have to go through 5 to 6, 7.
But you know, the embargo
agencies.
is not just for staffs, because I remember back then when we used to say, "Oh, these are the vice chancellor's students. This lecturer, yes, specialists. This lecturer has 5 people that he wants to come in." So now equally, it has actually generated to society, because you have to know someone that knows someone before you get to certain places, even in the Nigerian society normally.
But now the system is understaffed.
In speaking about understaffed, even this loan that we're talking about now, how wouldn't this affect it? Because now, let's say I do not know the person that would give me access to these loans. And of course, you know how Nigeria is to start with.
Of course. You see, these are all the bottleneck I think the government should really look into, because like he said, they were in a hurry to sign this loan in order to calm the nerves of the students and all that. But you see, when you want to be politically correct, you should equally understand that there are implications to some of these things. So, moving forward, I think that embargo should be removed, because if you notice, the other day, the ASU chairman, president came out to say, "Oh, Nigerian lecturers are now beginning to japa."
As of yesterday, they've even said most of them have resigned. They're coming from the Ibadan chapter, and they were lamenting about this thing. I was hoping we would have a doctor today to talk about the japa syndrome, not just with Nigerian lecturers, of course, because a particular ward in Luth, as we're talking right now, has been shut down because of the japa syndrome. Not just the japa syndrome, most of our capable hands are being underpaid. And don't you think we should channel more energy into paying most of these people, speaking about student loans? Because I feel like whatever they wrote for that student loan is ridiculous.
Mercy, sorry please. The truth is, even when you pay these guys, the system, there's so much rot in the system. All right? So if you're paying them, you'd have infrastructure for them to work with. How would they even succeed in the first place? For the japa thing, you see, other countries are not taking advantage of this. So much brain drain. Like, for me now, I've had like 2 offers from the US and from Canada. Okay. All right? Now, these things happen. There's a whole lot of persons who are lecturers.
But shouldn't that push Nigerian government to do better if the education and health sector actually matters to them that much?
Well, that's another angle to it, Mercy. But we just hope that things will get better, because with the way so many persons are tendering their resignation to leave this country to seek greenhouse pasture, you can't blame them. Because assuming you stay in Nigeria, they pay you, let's say, maybe 150,000, and then someone is telling you that, "Oh, come over, we're going to triple that money for you." My sister, you do it. Because...
Well, I think our leaders are taking God for granted. They know that the equipment, the environment for learning is not there. But God, in His mercy, has given an average Nigerian who wants to be serious with educational career to sit down to study. Somebody, a young guy of about 21 years, got 4.98 from Federal University of Technology, Imo State. I think last Saturday was the the convocation or something. You understand? So even with these difficulties, with the bad environment for learning and all that, God is still blessing Nigeria. And that blessing is what they are playing with. Now, there was a news last week, I don't know if you read it, that most of Nigerian students who studied abroad and are back, medical doctors who studied abroad and are back to Nigeria, failed medical tests.
Yes.
Those who studied, Nigerian students who studied abroad. Came back to work in Nigeria, but of course, before you work, you'll be given you must be subjected to some. But they failed. This is the same Nigeria that we do not have the environment for learning, good environment for learning. People are still learning. They are excelling, and they are being appreciated out there. Go to Canada, go to UK, go to America. The best medical doctors are from Nigeria. And our leaders, in their political wisdom, which for me I will call it, let me not use some words on air. They are taking advantage of us. They are taking advantages of our people, and they are not doing the right thing. They know that we have enough. They know we have so many.
I mean, what will it even take to fix our medical system?
But again, there is another. Sorry, sir. Let me get down. Let me finish my thought. There is a way Nigeria, if we have a system that works, there is a way the Nigerian government can also go about it, that it will even be a source of income for Nigeria. Give them good environment, let them study and come out well. If Canada wants to employ people from Nigeria, they should apply to Nigeria, and then you use that to also tax people.
Boost the economy.
Boost the economy. But this one now, you have left everything in the hands of, just like security now is in the hands of individual. Water is in the hands of individual. Everything is in the hands of individual.
That's why there's this saying that you are a local government unto yourself.
Yes.
Because you provide it.
But again, sorry, let me digress. On the local government issue, I don't know if you are getting there. I want to give it to the National Assembly. Because some of these governors, what they do is disheartening. That you just appoint somebody as director of local government, not a local government chairman. A local government chairman is somebody who is constitutionally elected by his people. Not somebody who is being appointed by a governor who was elected. And then by the time the monthly allocation comes to the coffers of the governor, who decide what you
goes
do
to
with
the local government.
And so I'm happy with the National Assembly for saying that unless you are any local government that is not that doesn't have elected council members should not be given their federal allocation. I pray that stays.
Well, we do hope that stays as we talk about Kogi State election in the next maybe 7 minutes. He's smiling. Well, backstory: Christopher Sunday is a spokesperson to one of the gubernatorial candidates in the past election that happened in Kogi State. So now I will just direct my question straight to him before we get to Ejiro. Gunmen attack Kogi election, cut away documents. That's according to Daily Trust, and that's a page 10 read. I'd like to be specific with that. In all of this, and now they've said it is the document that is supposedly needed that was carted away. When are we looking at moving forward in Nigeria when it comes to election? When are we looking at having a free, fair, credible election?
Do you want me to answer you?
Yeah.
The only time we will attempt to have a free and fair election, it is when I can stand on my farm in Agbeji to vote on election day without necessarily going on queue. The only time we'll have a free and fair election in Nigeria is when my BVN will serve as my BVN will serve as my PVC. That I can just go somewhere by any device that is there for me to just print on a device and vote, and then will get away. I don't even need to come and say Beavers accreditation. Put everything. America, are we not following American election? We are following their election. How do they vote? Pure, clear electronic voting. What does it take to have electronic voting here in Nigeria? Then you have the issue of sensitive material. Every election, you must hear sensitive material is missing. This is missing, this is missing, this is missing. Let me go to Kogi State. I doubted the story until I read from a press statement, a press statement from the police command in Kogi State. Now, the disheartening thing there is this, that where the attack happened, according to the news I read, was just beside the Central Bank of Nigeria in Lokoja, where presumably you are supposed to have security mounted. After the Central Bank, you have the State Assembly. So it means on that line is that road ought to be mounted with security. And again, does it mean that the secretary who was attacked was alone when he was attacked? So he was going to the tribunal, to the court, with sensitive material as that. Case filed by 4 political parties without security. And if he was with security, then what did they do? Were they overpowered by those who attacked them? But in all of this, there is one reason why I will not have to bother myself in this case. The police didn't come out to tell us who is responsible. They only said hoodlums. gunmen. Maybe the fly is in Lokoja, the gunmen, or maybe the fly, the what's it called? The weather in Lokoja. Went away with those sensitive material. If not, see the statement. If you go through the statements, you just see it is full of vague. It's vague. Say gunmen, like 72 hours now, no name was mentioned.
Gunmen attack.
Gunmen attack. Now you are glorifying these boys. They feel they can do anything. And look at it, it's going to be the worst of APC against SDP. SDP is saying that they should call the SDP candidate, Murtala Jaka, to order. But logically, if you look at it, Murtala Jaka is the person that says he wants to go to court, not the APC.
Not the APC.
But in all this, the police is just playing with the whole thing. But that is where, as a Nigerian, the electoral system has also crashed down. Because if the right thing is done, we wouldn't have been where we are today. You see issues coming before, during and after election, the same issue going front and back every day, year on year, month on month, no solution to it. Okay. So I want to call on the security agency in Kogi State that they should please, whatever they do, whatever politicians are using them to do, they should first of all know that Nigeria, Kogi State, is bigger than any political party.
Okay, all right. Thank you for that. I'd like to get your own opinion, Adrian.
Well, he said something about electronic voting.
Okay.
It's superb. It's perfect. But I tell you what, Mercy, that will not happen. You know why? Because those responsible for this are benefiting from the system. They know how to manipulate the system. So until then we have serious-minded politicians, okay, people who are really ready for this change we're talking about, that is when we'll have a perfect election. Okay,
all right. Thank you very much, Ejiro Onuata and Christopher Sunday, for joining us today.
In just a second,
okay,
let our political leader know that beyond their political interest, there is a nation called Nigeria. There is a nation where our forefathers dreamt on how it should look like.
Okay.
They should please, one of them, either now or in the future, should sacrifice his second tenure to use his first tenure to fix the country the way it ought to be. Because by the time you want to maybe play along, you are not biting people because you want to combat the second tenure, politicians will still take you for granted, and we are going to remain where we are. If you cannot fix a country in 4 years in your first tenure, how are you sure you can fix it in your second tenure?
That should take us to one tenure system.
It's like, okay, all right, we do hope the necessary authorities are watching actually and will do something about this and exactly do the needful. Speaking about one tenure, I feel like that's something we'll look about properly on the POLITY one of these days. But thank you, gentlemen, for joining us today on the program on the POLITY. It's been an insightful one with you guys. Thank you. All right, our viewers at home, this is where we wrap it up for today for the POLITY. Thank you for staying tuned and thank you for joining us today on the POLITY. I remain Messi Babajide. See you same time, same station tomorrow. Bye.